I really believe that for those that are on right now, we'll give Chris some time to get this thing kicked off, and if it doesn't go perfect, we'll reschedule, because these guys that are on this call right now, this company is special to me because all these fine looking fellas are pretty special people. But I think a company is as good as its people, and this is one of those companies that in the last, you guys, Julio, I can be direct, right?
Julio, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
Yes.
So hey, I'm gonna be direct. There was probably about 8-10 years ago where it was Buffensheim was kind of known as the affordable pad. You know what I'm saying? It was known as the bulk pad. It was the pads, great pads, nothing wrong with them, but I don't think that you would say it was cutting edge at the time. And these guys in the last 5 years or so have taken the pad industry and turned it on its backside with technology, with personality. They've taken a successful company and completely rebranded that company. And not only that, but have been innovative. They've brought Justin on, and they've just done some incredible things. And as a guy that's been around a long time, it's been really cool to have a front seat to watching that all go down. And, especially last year, Rich isn't on right now. We'll have Julio and you guys talk about Rich a little bit. But to sit down and listen to his story that I'd never heard and look in his eyes and hear it, feel it, and see it, taste it, everything else, it was incredible. And now I know why your guys' team is so special, is that it starts with, the owner and so forth. So with that, again, these are guys that gentlemen, professionals in the industry that I really like to be around. And, I've got good relationships with all of them for good reason. So with that, let's go ahead and Julio, let's go ahead and start with you. So, I noticed that you're in LA, you're not driving with your, why aren't you driving with your face mask on?
Because I'm in my car, that's why.
Well, you know what? Everybody else in LA drives with their stupid face mask on when they're freaking by themselves. So,
I don't know what to tell you. I'm a different breed. I live on the edge.
What? Did you guys see my post today? My family and I sinned while we're in the Sin City. We went and ate at a restaurant today. Inside the restaurant.
Guess what, Renny? You know where I'm just coming from?
Where?
No.
From my barbershop.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, rub it in. Yeah, rub it in. Wow, so your barber, he opened back up?
No, he's like a speakeasy. You got to knock a couple times. And
I like that.
park around the corner, one guy in, only at a time. So it's weird because I got to wear my mask the whole time he's doing it, which is kind of weird.
It is. But, he's got to wear a mask too, and well, it's pretty cool. We went to BJ's, so you guys know, national chain, right? BJ's.
Oh yeah, love it.
So we went into BJ's. You know how they've got disposable menus, or you can do it on your phone.
Wow.
They only give you a menu per table, and then they throw it away.
Oh, wow.
They've got a holy Bible of a menu, right? It's 20 pages long. They've reduced it down to probably about 20% of their menu. The good stuff. All the wait staff have got all matching, face covers on. Breathable, nice face covers, wearing gloves. They got sanitized stations, and they've got about 10 feet in between everybody that's sitting down to eat.
Wow.
The staff in the back has got mask on that's cooking, but there's sanitizer everywhere. And then I personally watched when we got up to leave, they sanitized our table.
Wow.
So, I think this thing for a good side, we took my daughter in. We're not fearful. You know what I'm saying? We went for it. We're living on the edge, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in the virus. Don't anybody accuse me that's the next thing is going to happen. Totally believe in it. I was activated with the guard for like 3 or 4 weeks, never went anywhere. I helped them out, but it was all from home, which is like, soldier. You might as well be playing, video game. It sucked. Didn't want to get in there. But then they gave me orders to go to like San Francisco or Oakland and work in one of the hospitals, like where the homeless people are. And I was like, maybe I don't want to go that bad. Not that I don't want to help homeless, but
no, I gotcha.
That could have been gone bad. But anyway, so Julio, let's start with you, man. Introduce yourself, and I'm going to get a little bit of background on all of you guys, and we'll come back and talk about the company.
Sure. My name is Julio Mondragon. In about 30 days, it'll be officially, I've been with the company for 20 years in June. So I started in 2000, kind of just by luck. You know, I was looking for a job. I've always loved detailing cars. And I just happened to come across this company. I never knew who they were. And, you know, I started working there, working from the bottom, you know, learning from a lot of mentors, which are now retired now, but there's some pretty big names in the industry like John Schutz, Don Hood,
Yeah.
George Bryan. So I learned a lot from them over the years, but then, you know, they all retired and I had nobody to look up to in the, you know, within us, just me and Richard. So, you know, we started looking for people, you know, that's where we, you know, we had an idea and then we reached out to Justin. That worked out really well. And then we, you know, we're looking for somebody else to cover the East. You know, we found Clinto, Dr. Clinto, doing an awesome job.
Doctor.
So we got a good team going right now. And then Richard, I mean, he's an owner operator. You know, he comes in every day. You know, he's not always the first one in, but he's always the last one to leave because he's got like 40 plus people he has to manage. Not manage, but, you know, keep an eye on at the factory, especially with the post-COVID-19 going on right now.
Right.
But, you know, I've learned a lot over the past 20 years and I'm not too flashy out there. I keep a low profile, you know, I'm pretty humble, you know, but I learned a lot with, you know, working with Buff and Shine and all the industry. I've seen it, you know, from all the changes from when the first orbital came out and then the long throws and et cetera. And, you know, hopefully I can be here for my whole tenure. And
so do you know the first place I ever learned your name of who you were was down
No.
at detailing.com when they first opened up.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, they are huge champions of you, man, and of your brand and everything else. And they really got me. They're the first ones that got me hooked. And honestly, we went from, you know, not using your pads on occasion for a long time to using like your pads like a lot. You know what I'm saying, overnight. And it was due to Renee's passion and John's passion for you guys, especially you. They really trust you.
They're awesome guys over there. Awesome
They
guys.
are. They're good. So Dr. Clint, you're next on my list. So let's talk to the doc.
Oh. Well, you know, it's funny how I ended up honestly with Buff and Shine because Julio will chuckle about this, but you know, I really had been Rich and I had been trying to put this thing together since George retired, which was what, Julio, 6 years ago?
Probably
5
longer.
years ago? Maybe longer. And you know what they say, everything is about timing. It was, you know, when Rich was ready for me, I wasn't ready. And when I was ready, Rich wasn't ready. And, you know, it was perfect timing. And Rich called and said, "Are you ready?" I said, "I'm ready." And, you know, I kind of thought buff and pads would be easy. I did. I thought, yeah, you know, you throw them a couple foam, you could throw them some wool and, you know, it's all good. And I'll tell you what, I was very sadly mistaken to realize how much really went into pads. And then to talk to Justin, Julio, and Rich, especially in the beginning, I was like, what are these guys talking about? So the good part about that for my career is, you know, I kind of reinvented myself. It was a new challenge because, you know, the 20 years before I just did liquids. I was with companies like Automagic and ECP and PDT. So, you know, I did a lot with staple liquids and polishes and waxes. So it's a nice, refreshing change. I absolutely love it. I do have 20 plus years now on a national level. As you can see, as you know, Renny, I'm very involved in IDA. I've been on the board. I was on the board in the early, I think 2011 to a couple years when we were developing the CD program. That was back when, you know, we weren't certain that before the Founders Club came out, we weren't even certain that IDA was gonna stick. I've been an RT, recognized trainer since July 2015. So I've been involved since pretty much the beginning with that. You know, a couple of articles I wrote here and there, kind of snoozers, but and then my ASDK certified Toyota, Ford, those were all actual programs I did when I was with Automagic, but those are kind of obsolete now. But
Wow.
Very excited to be with Buff and Shine, and I love learning, and I have not felt this happy and this much of a team, having Justin and Renny, or I'm sorry, Julio on board. So it's all good.
We include in that. So now, so you joined them after you got your doctorate, right? I mean, after you got your MD,
Yeah, we should probably let out the truth about that, huh, Julio?
Yeah.
Right.
So the doctor came up. It sounds cool, but I'm going to tell the story, and everybody's going to go, "What a loser!" But one day I was on the phone with Julio, and I have no idea why, but we were getting off the phone, and I said, "Hey, buddy, if you need anything," I said, "just give me a call or give me a page." And he goes, "Did you just say page me?"
Wow.
I said, "I think I did." And he said, "Paging Dr. Clinto."
Oh,
Stuff from there. So
That's how it's stuck.
that's a great.
there goes my cool name.
Dude, that's freaking funny, man. That's well, yeah. Well, that way, you could be in the Hangover movie. And hey, do you have a charging station for my pager?
Right.
Did Caesar really live here? I mean,
Showing my age again, which Justin reminds me enough.
that's
So.
awesome, man. Well, welcome, man. So
Don't you, Justin?
hey, Justin, before I get too far into you, how old are you now?
37.
37. So,
Wow.
technically, I mean, I guess if I had a kid when I was like 14, 13, I could, you could be my son. So kind of older brother. I'm right in between that age. This is a guy I'm really proud of. We've got a lot of history. Let me tell you, this young man was already successful when I met him. He just didn't know how successful he could be. And he had an idea of it, but he allowed me to help sculpt him a little bit. He already had the good principle. He already had good clay there. And the biggest thing that we helped him do was reduce his work hours because he had one unhappy wife because he was working a lot. And this gentleman right here, this entrepreneur, this father, this husband, this friend, this spokesperson, ooh, I'll get emotional. I'm real proud of him because I've watched him not just put an influence in his fingerprint on an industry. I've watched him take and build a lifestyle and build a wealthy life versus a rich life at a young age. And my goal was when I set out in training is I just wanted to change lives. And I didn't want people to do it the same way that I had to do it. It sucked my way. Justin's done it a lot better. He took my plan and put it on steroids, put his own twist to it. And I'm pretty damn proud of him. And I wanted to start it out that way. So now live up to that, buddy.
Well, just like
Good one.
anybody else, getting into detail, it's a getting into detailing as a detailer. I didn't know much about detailing. It wasn't anything that was like, oh, I got this side gig. I started in 2008 when the economy was shit, and I had a wild hair being unemployed to try to start doing it, and it went from trying to start doing it to an opportunity given to me that opportunity 6 months later turned into a reality of being able to take over the gentleman's business that gave me that opportunity. And from there, I was hungry. I was young. I was 25. I just turned 25. And I wanted to do something for myself. And so for that reason, I didn't stop. I didn't look back. And for every hurdle, every obstacle, it was about what can I do to make myself better on business, craft, the whole thing. And then meeting Renny, like to what he said, I mean, a lot of people have something to say about training, but you haven't been trained until you've been trained by someone who's an entrepreneur that knows detailing. There's a difference there. And I'll leave it at that because that's not what this is about. What this is about is, pads, but there's a whole nother level to that. And for that reason, that's what's helped expedite my success, what I call a slingshot effect, in regards to being able to take what you know and have somebody really make you better at it. But overall, and I started off like everybody else with nothing and turned it into something. And I enjoy detailing. I have a major passion for it. And, having the opportunities is being able to see those opportunities and capitalize on them and make the best out of them. And that's what happened with everything that's been put in front of me, from being part of the IDA to being on committee to being vice president to president to being part of the mafia to being master detailer in the mafia to being presented with an opportunity from Buff and Shine. It's just been a whirlwind of just great things, and a product of my environment is what I call it, of the detail industry. And for that reason, that's why I love being able to help people all the time, whether it's within the group of the Detailers Network and Detail Mafia or the industry itself. It's all a whole to me. And for that reason, I really thoroughly enjoy being part of the team of Buff and Shine. And it is a team. It's truly a team. We have a demo team. We have Julio. We have Clint. We have Rich. And that's what it is. It's not one player being better than the other. It's everybody doing their part to make the entirety of the team beneficial to the industry and the value of it, of a brand.
Let me tell you, you just hit on something. And a lot of people don't get this. There's a lot of people trying to, there's P&S. We've watched Bob Phillips lead the charge on renovating, and rebranding, reintroducing P&S. And I've been part of that charge. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you've got to have a person at Rich's level or Bob's level to let go of the reins and not micromanage. It starts with them. But Justin, you just nailed it. How does this reflect back going into something way off of pads? Is if you're a small dude, let your team do what they do. Yeah, I know you're a master detailer. I know you care about your business. Let your team help you, and you'll get places you've never dreamed before. If you micromanage, you're going to micro grow. Simple as that. There's times the only thing I micromanage is my finances. That's it. Maybe my kids a little bit.
That's where both of those areas count a lot.
That's it. Kids don't take it too well, but this guy, again, I'm so proud of him. So, hey, Chris, how we doing? We okay? Let's get back on. So I want to tell the story now. Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, man, we can hear you. That beautiful, sexy voice. It sounds like a robin singing.
So
wow.
We're live on I lost my audio for some reason, so I'm getting an echo from another device right now. But we're live to Zoom. Facebook will not work.
That's okay. We'll do the replay of it. How's that? So
yep.
So here we can always come back and do a live event next week just on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So here's the deal. So now we've got in. So let's talk a little bit about Buff and Shine, the actual company. We've talked about that. Let's go into the history a little bit and talk about that. So now let's go back. So Julio, since you're the Grand Master here, let's start with you, and then we'll get input from these two gentlemen.
Julio, you're muted.
Sorry, I did it again. Sorry.
Good.
I think the kids are here. That's why I'm like, I gotta
That's
stop.
exactly.
Sorry, guys. So Richard, like every 17-year-old high school senior, didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. So he figured he would just take over Daddy's business, which is still around, but his dad is retired. They are you've probably heard of them already, Car Roma Supplies. They sell, car wash soap, degreasers, compounds to all the car washes in Southern California. They used to sell to body shops and dealerships. So, he would work there on the weekends during school years. And then after he graduated, he was working there full time, on the truck, delivering stuff, learning. And his dad told him that, I'm not going to give you my company because you're just going to run into the ground. And, if you want to make some real money and if you want something to survive, you're going to have to make your own business for yourself. So his dad was very mechanically inclined. So he told him, I'll give you some seed money. And, the buffing pads in the industry, they're not that good. So why don't we try to make, a better one? So what they did is they saw a machine and they Frankensteined it to make a buffing pad. And they took it on their routes to all the car washes and all the body shops and all the dealerships. They left it there on a Monday or whatever day it was. They came back the next week, picked it up, asked them questions like, what was good about it? What didn't you like? They went back, they tweaked the machine. They nailed it down until they had a very durable pad at a fair price. And that's how Buff and Shine originally started with buffing pads.
I'll be
A 17-year-old kid with his mechanically inclined dad trying to make something better for the industry.
How many great things start that way, man? So what now? Take us to modern day, bringing your modern day team in. What a difference! I mean, so let's go back and explain your average day back, when you started 20 years ago, and explain your average day now.
Well, I mean, we were at one building. We had maybe half the number of employees. Let's see, we probably had a fraction of the customer base that we had. We had a fraction of the number of part numbers that we had. It was a lot slower and the lead times were faster, and, we were just making simple products. But over the years, you have to keep your ear to the industry because things change, from month to month, year to year. New polishes come out, new compounds come out, new machines come out. All this new technology, you gotta go with the change or you're gonna get left behind.
Amen.
So,
Yeah.
I kept my ear to the ground. I funneled that information to Richard and I said, we got to do this because, this is going on. So that's how we've been staying. I mean, that's how I feel we've been staying very relevant with the industry.
So now, we get pretty much standardized for a long time. We started getting DAs in, late 90s. Rotary was king. Then all of a sudden Flex comes out with this thing called a forced action. And then all of a sudden, Rupes comes out with these long throws. It was challenging for the pad manufacturers, wasn't it? Because things changed so drastically, so quickly. And so that's when I think you guys adapted I think that's one of the best things that ever happened to our industry for multiple people. Definitely you guys.
Well, thank you.
Because you guys adjusted so well. So now you bring your modern day team in. Clint's there. You got East Coast representation. You've got, you got Pretty Boy Floyd, Justin, Labato, that I was just wondering what he was eating right now because it looked pretty yummy.
He's always eating. Always.
Oh, I like that. Did you see that? That was, yeah.
That is edamame pasta with some zucchini, onion, broccoli, and chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, that looked pretty good, by the way. Thanks for sharing.
The quarantine didn't do me well, so
I don't think it did anybody well.
I'm kind of recovering from it.
Yeah. That's good. But
that's a different subject.
Let's talk about seeing you guys. We've seen each other in Germany. We've seen each other all over the globe. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And you guys are now. I mean, you really are within our industry a household name, so to say, in the industry. That was not an easy road. A lot of people have seen it. I've had. I mean, I haven't seen it up close and personal, but I've seen it pretty close. And you guys, it was a lot of. It was an orchestration. It was organizing everything. It was a plan, and it was a lot of work, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So for the little guy, your growth in your guys' company is take us through how can you and not to micro listen. I'm a fraction of my company is a fraction of what Buff and Shine is. So I'm not saying this to belittle anybody, but for us little guys, I'll include me in there. What would you say? How do they take and put themselves on the main stage like you guys did? What would be a couple key factors? And this is out to all three of you.
Don't stop. Just keep doing it. Keep trying it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Take what's in front of you and understand it, and do what's best with it, and just keep going. And
don't stop. You guys weren't the first pad manufacturer on it. You guys just reacted very quickly to what was going on. Good point.
Find your niche and just run with it.
I like it. Clint, you got anything, doctor? You got anything to add into there, Doc?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, even now, we don't, I don't just call Julio and go, hey, we should come out with this kind of a pad. We listen.
Yeah.
We listen. And when I talk to customers and even end users and even novice, I ask, what do we need out there? I mean, we have a great team, between Justin and the demo team. I know, if we have a concept for a pad, we're going to get some real life, feedback, and being comfortable. I've been with Buff and Shine for only 2.5 years, but I have felt absolutely comfortable introducing every new pad that we have, and they've all been successful, and that makes me feel very confident. I like that.
That's awesome. So great. I think that's a great. So next slide. Let's go ahead and go over to the next one. See what we're going to talk about next. So, wow. Okay. So which one of you guys are going to field this one? The ultimate random orbital. So talk about it. What do we got? Justin, this has kind of been your baby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, feedback.
Whoops, yeah. So Justin, I think this was kind of your baby when you guys took off on this. So what would your, when you go into the ultimate random orbital, what's the story behind this? What is it?
Well, it is, but I would say, a lot of that has to do with Julio as well, because this is where, when I got on board, or they brought me on board, where we really started really engaging into this space that was unknown. And it basically developed into being able to recreate buff and shine from what you had mentioned being the traditional bulk pad, quality pad, but bulk pad, and kind of reinventing ourselves for the detailer and let the detailers know, hey, we're here to stay. And with this pad system, we were able to, or I should say pad line, we were able to cover all the relevant machines that were coming out on the market, which would be, traditionally the rotary, but also going into the long throw, gear driven, and standard DA. And that's where the Euro came from, the ultimate random orbital. That way we were able to cover our grounds and make pads specifically for those machines, so we could catch up with the machines coming out. Since, for a little while there, we were, as pad manufacturers in the industry, not just one, but all, the machines were getting ahead of the game. And us as pad manufacturers had to catch up with that. And, with Julio having his history with Buff and Shine and Rich listening, they were ready to make a move. And I think, as a whole, we all kind of capitalized on finding that and filling that void.
Great answer. Julio, you got something to add to that?
Oh, he did it perfect.
Doctor?
Justin.
Good to go. Good to go. And so now, next slide. So now let's talk about the whole pad experience. So let's talk about from the wool, microfiber, reticulating, and then the reflection artist pad line. So Clint, we'll start with you this time. So let's have you run down through what these are, and then we'll get Julio and Justin to jump in with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think if you go to the next slide, it kind of breaks down, but this is basically what we call our Europad experience, which is our ultimate random orbital line, which is, 2 fiber-based lines, one being wool, one being microfiber, and then foam. If you go to the next slide, sorry, Renny. Basically, this is just showing today's tools. You have your gear driven, like we talked about. I remember when, the Beast came out, I didn't really know what to do with it right away. I didn't understand it, but it was a cool tool. And then, of course, the long throws came out and different versions of long throws. And then, of course, you got your standards, which have been around a long time, your basic Porter cables and that type of thing. So, the innovation in these machines the last, 5-6 years are just, I could say that in 15 of my career before that, there hasn't been this type of innovation. So it's really cool with the tools.
It definitely is. And I think a lot of people don't understand is the difficulty in matching up pads that would work with either of these technologies. So Justin, when did that come into play? Why is there a difference between a pad that you can use on a gear driven forced action versus a long throw versus a rotary?
Well, a lot of the cell structure has a lot to do with that. Between a closed cell, open cell, how it dissipates the heat, the density of the foam, all these things have a way that they play out in the function of the machine. You take a 21 mil throw machine, that has a long throw, a long torque to it as it moves. And for that reason, there's certain foams that work with it and not so well. So for that reason, you'll see premature failure in some foams versus others that are very successful. And then you get to a gear driven where it has that hybrid of that, orbital and almost rotary action, and it's really aggressive. And that foam, has to work with that machine properly. And that's where someone like Julio, where he's there at the factory, along with Rich, who's there hand-picking the foam from his sources to be able to technically match up to make that the machines that beat up on these foams are all working in harmony. And that's where we were able to create the different pad lines for that reason.
So Julio, finding the right foams for these different, for gear-driven long throw standard, you just can't call up a foam company and just, it's not foam 411, is it? It takes a little bit of work. So kind of explain that process.
Well, Rich deals with them directly. They're from all over the world. They're in the U.S., they're in Europe. Some of them are in Asia, but he handpicks them and he brings them in. They come in these huge blocks. I'm sure you've seen them on social media, but he gets people sending them foam all the time, and then we test them all. But we put them to the ringer. I mean, we have some torture tests that we do internally that we can't speak about, but he really does his homework on it because he's a man of quality. He doesn't want anything to come back, regardless of who used it, from a professional to the enthusiast. He wants to make sure when he sends it out, it never comes back, because he wants to make sure he gives the best possible product, at a fair price. But hand selecting all the foams. I mean, we carry probably over 30 grades of foam, and we don't advertise a lot of them,
Right. Right.
Some of them are for specialty industries only, like OEM, believe it or not, casket manufacturers, and, the boating industry. I mean, they use all different kinds of raw materials from us.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So Clint, you got anything to add to this one?
Well,
Woo.
Sorry, guys. I thought I would just bring us to the beginning of the pad line, but you guys keep going.
No, one thing I did say is that I did want to say is, if I spent $1,000 on a dinner, Rich wouldn't, he wouldn't think about it at all. But if I told him that a pad was delaminating or we were having an issue, he'd stay up at night. And again, I'm going to tell you, that's the kind of guy I want to work for. I've never in my whole 20 plus year career, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I have just always wanted to sell the best. I didn't want to sell the cheap stuff. And I knew Puff and Shine was high quality, and, getting to know Rich, he cares. He wants to make sure that he's putting out something quality. And I don't know if every company has that type of a leader, at the helm of the ship. And that it just motivates me. It really motivates me.
I got to tell you, most, I will say most people do care. Most leaders do care, but most are not connected like he is. And most won't give up the reins to their team like he does. And so I think that's what makes Rich a special guy. And that's why I think you guys appreciate him so much. Now, the other thing I will say, $1,000 dinner sounds really good. I'm going to keep you up on that. I got to
Don't tell Rich.
So
he's not on Facebook, so it's done, Renny.
Okay, there you go. I like that.
Make it 1,500 then, Renny.
There you go. So now let's go into wool pads a little bit. And Justin, you want to lead in on this one a little bit? Julio, can you see the screen? Do you have an eye shot on it?
Yeah, I look at the Euro wool, the white Euro wool.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that way I get you involved. I
can take the lead on.
I had a conversation with Julio earlier. He's going to lead in on the wool, and I'm going to lead in on the Euro fiber. And for that reason, I'm going to grab my charger before my phone dies.
There you go. Okay, get on there. Lead us in there, Julio. It's all yours, buddy.
All right, so the Euro wool line, we have 2 wool pads. It's the most aggressive in the Euro family. We have a white 100% knitted wool. So what that means, it's not twisted wool like your traditional old school 8-inch, very aggressive wool pad. So this thing doesn't lint as much as a traditional wool pad, so it doesn't look like, somebody murdered a sheep when they walk into the shop. But you can use it on any machine that has a 6-inch backing plate, 5-inch backing plate, or 3-inch backing plate. It's easy to wash. It's very durable. It's made 100% in Southern California from start to finish. It's great for heavy defect removal. It leaves a really good finish, unlike a traditional 100% twisted wool pad. It's got a short pile, but that short pile, it's a good workhorse. And like I said, you can use it on any machine out there that you have. Doesn't matter what brand. The other one on the next slide is the one that we launched at SEMA 2019. It's the same sizes, 6-inch, 5-inch, and 3-inch. It's a wool blend, so it's got two different materials in there. It's 100% wool, and it's got a proprietary blend. But the way it's knitted is that it's kind of like infused and like almost melted together, but it's not melted. So what happens? It looks like it feels like a dense carpet. So this one is actually a lot better to wash. Over time, it's going to last longer. It leaves a better finish than the white wool, but it's a lot more versatile where you can get a lot more of the newer paint systems that are on the market. And again, you can use this on any machine from high-speed polisher to, if you're even using that, a Harbor Freight tool. Anything that has a 6-inch, 5-inch, or 3-inch backing plate.
Two of my favorite pads you just talked about. I love both those pads. We use them in the training. As you know, as you can imagine, we beat a lot of stuff in training up, and the longevity of these pads are incredible. So well done with that.
Justin's baby.
Justin.
Oh, yes, the wonderful Euro fiber pad. So with this pad, we took a different approach and microfiber. And the backstory to this is that I was actually I was working for Mothers at the Bear Jackson Mandalay Bay show, and it was 2 weeks before SEMA. So it was 1 week at SEMA, or 7 days, 7 days in Vegas, and then 2 weeks later, another 7 days in Vegas. So you can only imagine the sleep deprivation. However, Julio and I give him a lot of credit because this definitely was a lot of his doing in manufacturing this pad. I mean, this pad's unique because it's 25% shorter pile height or fiber height than the traditional microfiber, and it has two different fibers versus most traditional or all microfiber pads, I should say at this point, that only have one kind of fiber. So I had them sent to me, dropped at my shop. I had 2 weeks to play with them, and then boom, SEMA. So that year at SEMA, I got a wild hair to say, you know what, screw it. We're going to go booth to booth and do a pad run live on Facebook, sink or swim. And we went to every booth with this pad and tested it out with all these different liquid abrasives from all these manufacturers. And every last one on video were all surprised at the results and super happy with the results. Well, that created supply and demand. Well, now it ended up being the most anticipated pad for the launch, and also one of the highest selling pads, single pads, for Buff and Shine and some of our manufacturers. So that pad in itself has some very unique performance to it due to the characteristics of how it's made. Like I mentioned with the fibers, the two different kinds of fibers, the shorter pile height, and also the interface of that foam that's used. If you notice, it's a white foam, and that white foam is our actual finishing pad in our Eurotech line, the white pad that's there. And that foam is one of our actual most durable foams in regards to strength and also how it dissipates heat and helps grab the contours of the surface as you're working with it. And it works on all your DA machines, just short, of course, you can't use it on a rotary. But it has great cutting capability and finishing capability, so it's been known to be an all-in-one pad. Now, as it was in the industry and detailers started using it on all different levels, with all different techniques, because everybody's different, we started to find that on these softer paint systems, it fell short sometimes in finishing. So as we kept our ears to the industry and listened, we immediately went to do our homework and develop the sister pad, which is the Eurofiber finisher. And for that reason, that came to be the Eurofiber Twins. And that is a complete set to allow you to both cut and finish with either or pad, depending upon the hard or softness of the paint systems you're working with. Again, accommodating all DA machines. So it becomes very versatile. And for those who love microfiber pads, it becomes a very versatile system and unique system to be able to achieve a lot more than what a lot of the traditional microfiber pads can on the market. So with the Eurofiber finisher, it has back to the traditional pile height of the black fibers that we've had success with in our other microfiber pads. and utilizing the same interface, that white foam, to, of course, hug the surface and give you the same results with a better finishing capability as its Eurofiber pad, sister pad.
So on that sister pad, one of the questions I'm going to ask: why can't you use it on rotational? Why not high speed?
Microfibers have just never been successful with rotary. I mean, an exact answer to that, I don't know. They get beat up and burnt up really quick. It's just not a good action for the fibers and the pad.
Agree. Load up a little bit. They're just not a good. Now you put them onto a, put them on a long throw. You even put them on a forced action. Whole different story. But on that rotary,
just square peg, round hole.
There you go. Great answer. A lot of people will question that, especially because right now where we're at, we're going to get an onslaught of new detailers that don't have experience, because of the financial situation. Say again.
Another reason the microfiber is not good for a high-speed buffer is because it was actually created to be worked on orbital machines, to be like the wool pad for those machines, where there was like no linting. I believe it originated in the OEM market, in the factory level, where they needed something that was cutting very, very fast, but didn't have any lint at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
And to add to that, traditionally too, people used to take off wax by placing a microfiber towel underneath their foam pad with an orbital to remove wax. And that was some added value that people started seeing, the unique value of a microfiber working underneath the pad. And that also helped lead to the current microfiber pads as a whole in our industry.
I dig it. Okay.
Yeah, one little tip about microfiber pads is, guys, use more than one on one car. If you can use 4 to 6, but clean them as much as you can tolerate, especially microfiber. Because microfiber grabs everything, and it's grabbing everything as you're buffing. And if you don't clean it, enough, you're just transferring all the stuff you took off, and you're just spreading it around the car.
Absolutely. We've got a video coming out, and I use several different pads. We talk about the importance of pad rotation, and a lot of people think, oh my God, I'd have to have a lot of pads in stock. Yeah, you have to have more pads in stock. But the thing is the wear and tear when you get proper pad rotation. When you do that, the wear and tear in the pads is reduced, and your actual investment in pads goes down, and the quality. To your point on microfiber, if you don't clean it enough, you're going to pick up what I call tick marks. You're going to leave little imperfections behind, or you're going to leave some marring and so forth that you just wouldn't do if you do them. One of the things that we do is blowing with air. A lot of people will blow with air. You got to be careful with that, because like Europe, it's illegal in different countries in Europe, because they don't want you breathing it in. So if you're going to blow pads out, it actually works really well. But just make sure that you're protected and you're not sucking in those particles, if you're going to do that. What's the way to clean these pads though? What's your guys' preferred method for cleaning them on the fly?
That's probably Justin's department. He can get into that really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you just said just completely knocked everything out that I was going to say. So, okay, well, let's be honest here. Traditionally, with detailers in the field or in the trenches, to say, a tornador is what most people would see on social media. And it is a badass way of unclogging a pad really quick. But you could be one that also comes up with some unique things. You could take a vacuum system, cut open a 5-gallon water container and blow it out in there so it sucks it out. I mean, there's some really cool things I've seen, but you could use a pad brush on them. You can use a terry cloth, because the terry cloth has more bite to the fibers. It'll grab more of the spent product and spent paint and less load, because these pads, the mixture of the pad and the liquid abrasive are supposed to work in harmony. You're not supposed to have too much liquid over the functioning abrasive of the fibers. So if you overload, then you're not going to get the proper clean anyway. So there's that happy medium there.
How do you clean these? What's your preferred method?
We still blow.
Hey, I'm not saying blowing's bad. You just got to be careful. You know what I'm saying?
Still blow. The guys, I got them some really cool, you know them, I don't know if you've seen them, but like lawn guys use them. They use those like ninja masks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So I have ninja masks that I bought that are all labeled up with showroom detailing all over them.
That's cool.
And the guys put those on when they're having to use the blowout method.
That's the biggest thing. It's just, you know what? The blowout's actually the most convenient, and I think it does the best job. You just got to be careful. And I like, you know, when we're teaching it, we tell people just put it blow it down towards a wet bucket. You know what I'm saying? That the water's going to collect it. It's not going anywhere. Protect it and go. When you do that with the bucket with the moisture, it takes probably 80% of it out of the air anyway, you know?
Yeah. Just be smart. Think ahead.
That's exactly it. So, yeah.
It's a health hazard. Straight up. It's a health hazard. Just be mindful of it. You know, if you do it that method, you're taking your own risk.
That's it. And so, yeah, you know, again, the European countries that are doing it, they're doing it for workers' protection, mainly in factories and everything else. Our detailers in Europe, yeah, they're still doing it. You know what I'm saying?
But pad cycling, to Julio's point, is also a big benefit too in regards to that. So there's not a lot of buildup, and you're keeping the pad cool. You get the longevity, return on the investment, the whole nine. That plays a big factor in it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of those important things. And Alex, you know, he's one of your guys's. I'm not going to claim Alex anymore. He's sending me personal text messages as we're going through here. There's something wrong with you, Alex. It's you know what? Maybe it's the thin air up in Alaska or something like that. But you know, dude, get help. Get help.
Yeah, they're a different breed up there. I don't know.
They are. I love it. Okay, so let's go on next one.
Hey, but real quick, do you need me to kick Alex off the webinar?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, no matter of fact, kick him off the planet. It's like yeah. We got to vote him off. Like he can't leave Alaska anymore or something like that. You know,
he's technically off the planet because he's in Alaska.
Yeah. He's in North Pole, Alaska, literally. Now, what kind of guy? You know, what kind of guy goes that's from? He's native. Starts a detailing business in Alaska and just kills it. That's Alex. So
that's Alex.
That's Alex. That's
Alex for president. I love it.
We teach each other, but we love him. Absolutely. Yeah, he wouldn't run. I know him.
It's Alex Dublin. You'll find him on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, find him. He's great. So now let's go into this. This is another one of my favorite topics right here. I love these pads. And so, Julio, are you jumping into this one? Who's going to?
I'll take
doctor.
this.
You're going to take the doctor himself.
Yeah. You know, I really did kind of want to talk about foam because it really wasn't that many years ago. I have to just be honest and transparent. I didn't really understand that there was a difference in between foams. And, you know, when I was working for Mike Dixon at PDP, people would come in the store and I would say, well, you know, here's a $10 pad, here is a $17 pad. And it really wasn't, it was maybe before my time at Buff and Shine that I started to learn that there is a difference in foam. And, you know, when Flex and Rupus and all these companies came out with these machines that were making these crazy oscillations and patterns, you know, the US foam that, you know, we used it for, you know, decade longer, it just wasn't holding up. And I was understanding that. I just didn't understand why. So when I came to Buff and Shine and learned that, you know, this is a European foam, it's an open cell, it's reticulated foam. There's a proprietary adhesive that we use to keep that loop on the back. So there was a lot more that went into it than I thought with these pads. And this is by far our most popular foam line. As I said, it's an open cell. And one of the benefits of that is airflow. You know, with the open cell, and you can always tell if a pad's an open cell, you just go to it and blow through it. If you get air through it, it's open cell. But it just helps keep that cool because as you know, on some of those long throw machines, you know, you can create some heat. So anything that you can do to reduce that amount of heat is going to get better paint performance. So the heavy cut blue, I mean, it feels like a bug sponge to me. You know, it's a crazy feeling, but once you get it saturated with some product, it actually cuts pretty well and softens up. The maroon, one of our most popular pads. I mean, I'm always referring that pad. I'm not saying anybody else can't get it, but it's a unique foam for Buff and Shine, being that color. And it's just been a real popular, very versatile foam, actually. The what we call the blueberry pad in the middle there is a new pad that we introduced last year, or maybe the year before.
I've got a romance going with that pad.
Oh,
a little too close to it.
you know,
That pad makes a lot of money.
It's a great feeling when people say things like that, because just I feel like since I've been at Buff and Shine, everything we introduce is just, just goes platinum, and I love it. But yeah, lots of good
Time
feedback.
savers. Yeah, time savers.
Yeah, lots of good feedback on that pad, which we call our AIO, our all-in-one pad, but it fits right in there, in between the yellow polishing and the maroon medium cut. And we were getting people that said, "Oh, we love that polishing pad. We wish it had a little bit more oomph." But we also love that burgundy pad, but we wish sometimes maybe softer paints it didn't have so much oomph, which is where the blueberry pad came in, and it's been very well received. And again, added, between Justin and Julio and the demo team to our Reflection Artist pad line as well. And then, we have our yellow, which is just a polishing, and then our white pad, which if you feel it, it's like cotton. It's really an ultra fine pad for those softer affinity paints that you'll run out there. This
Or
pad line.
waxes and sealants.
What's that, Justin?
I said, or waxes or sealants. The
Absolutely.
traditional products.
Absolutely. This pad line, it comes in 1 inch, 2 inch for your, your nano hybrids and your pixie machines and the smaller machines out there, which are becoming really more popular every day. And then of course the 3 inch, the 5 inch for the 15 millimeter throws, and the 6 inch for the 21 millimeter throws. So very, very popular and well selling foam pad line for us.
Let me give you guys a plug. I had to pick two of those pads right there. The blueberry and the white finishing. If I could pick three, the burgundy. I'm going to tell you, you need all the pads, right? Go out and buy them all. But here's the deal. I'm going to tell you right there, 80% of your work can be done with those three pads. Those pads are what I mean, total money making game changers. I mean, they're just, every time I touch them, they blow me away. And you're right, that white pad, it is nice, delicate, soft, feels good.
Yeah.
Beautiful pad.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next up on the screen. Here we go. Reflection Artist, why?
Justin, I have to take that.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
Why? Well, not that Buff and Shine needed anything new to it, but we wanted to find out a way to recreate it marketing wise, from a business standpoint. And I had already started utilizing this hashtag for myself personally. And Julio was digging it, Rich was digging it, and it had some flair to it. So for that reason, we wanted to create a brand culture with it, but we didn't quite know where to place it. Well, with all of our R&D with our pads and constantly beating the crap out of these pads in every way we can, and we do that because we want to make sure that we could duplicate, maybe some of the things that people are seeing in the open market on how they beat up their pads. So we have a solution for, an issue that may happen. And during that process, we started introducing new pads such as the blueberry pad, the heavy polish, and also the Euro wool blend. And once we started noticing the popularity of a couple pads and then adding those in, at my shop and amongst some of the demo team members, we started realizing that we were using these same 5 pads over and over again for upwards of 70-80% of most paint systems. And that's where we said, hey, we can make the Reflection Artist pad line. And we ran it past Rich, and he loved the idea of the name and loved the idea of the direction. And we took off from there, and it became a brand culture. And now it's a trademark name through Buff and Shine, and an industry name, and becoming a standard for our pad system.
So much so that every student that comes through our training gets their first supply of that included into when they get here.
That's right. So
that's how much faith we've got in this pad system, is we're pretty proud of it. Plus, Justin's, one handsome looking dude. So, when we have him on the desk, the guys have been gone from home for a few days. So by Friday, they're looking at that box kind of weird, I gotta be honest.
The things that are running across my mind. That box and them holes in the pan, it's just not adding up right now.
Yeah, there you go. You guys could tell we're pretty close,
Anyways, so giving Clint credit for taking it to the next level with really creating a definition for reflection artists. He had taken the word itself from whatever source dictionary, because sometimes some of these dictionaries have their own little description, but similar. The word reflection being a noun, the production of an image by or as if by a mirror, an image given back by a reflecting surface. So that would be the definition of reflection. And then artist, of course, again, another noun, a person skilled at a particular task or occupation. And I say that task or occupation because, some people get misled with the word artist in our industry, but that says it right there by the dictionary. Task or occupation. Detailing is an occupation. So just to debunk the artist side of it, that does apply to our industry. So by putting both words together, you have reflection artist, a person skilled at the particular task of producing a mirror-like reflective image on painted surfaces. That way, that opens up that category for not just the professionals, but for the enthusiasts, the DIYs, to be able to get this simple 5-pad kit and be able to produce reflection artist-like results.
Can't say it any better than that. So the pad line, let's talk about the pad line.
So, without going word for word, but still kind of covering it, it is a unique pad line. There's 5 pads within the system. 3 of them are foam, 2 of them are fiber-based. 3 out of the 5 are very successful pads from our Eurotech foam line that have proven themselves in the market. And I saw that there was a question up earlier how we do R&D with our pads. And, R&D with our pads, if you were a pad manufacturer and you sent out your pads to one individual, that at that point, you're kind of, getting only one opinion, one feedback, and you don't know necessarily what the skill set or the background of that individual is. And they may have a great skill set and a great background, but then it's their process. That is their unique way of how they do things with paint, right? And then you have the people in the actual manufacturing facility testing them. There's limitations there. They're not detailers. We know that. And that's okay. They're the ones that manufacture the pads for the detailers. So for that reason, we've developed the, demo team, the reflection artist demo team. So to my point is that these pads have gone through the ringer. The demo team from every corner of the U.S., they all have a background in the industry that's a vetted resume at different levels, different events, been doing it for a long time, all different unique process that they execute. And by that, it's proven that these pads have worked. And that's what's proven that 3 of the pads were being so successful that by adding the blueberry pad and the gray blended wool, it completed that set to allow you to have that all-in-one pad system to be able to literally knock out upwards of 80% of most defects on relevant paint systems. And it accommodates all the way down to a 3-inch for the majority of them, if not down to a 2 and 1 inch with our foams. That way you could really get into the micro polishing and be more precise. That way, if you're one that's more of a purist in detailing, you could accomplish those things. And we kept it open-ended, as you can see. I mean, the wool is not, the blended wool is not our most aggressive. And we did that purposely because we have the Euro wool and we also have twisted wool. The traditional stuff that you have to grab a rotary and really dig out some gnarly defects. But we kept it open-ended for that reason. And if you have another pad from a different manufacturer, so be it. Same thing with our yellow foam. It's a great finishing pad that's very successful. But at the end of the day, there's some finicky pain in the butt paints out there that pad just doesn't work. It is what it is. So you end up having to go to maybe our white foam or our black traditional bulk pad that we have. Or maybe, again, going to another manufacturer. But we kept it open-ended so we could end up still being in your arsenal as a detailer and contributing to providing you great results with quality pads. And that's where the Reflection Artist pad line comes into play so we can accommodate that.
Let me go into testing a little bit too. Something that you didn't hit on is that we've been doing it for many years now, is there's a serious proving ground, and it's called Air Force One project. And when these pads are subjected to that project, you're talking about a massive project that absolutely abuses everything from wool to foam, from cutting to finishing. And if they'll last through that, they'll pretty much last through anything, because the temperature that we're reaching on these, you're talking about these machines when they're going so long are getting up to 113 degrees on the handles.
Wow.
Because they're all day long, 12, 14 hours a day. So one of the biggest, the proving grounds for this is these pads are tested hardcore at that level. And, you know, it's amazing to see how our time frame, you know, I've been doing 17 years with Air Force One, 30 years with some pretty significant airplanes, 4,041 airplanes right now underneath my belt.
Wow.
I can tell you this, we've seen the usage of pads, our pad usage go down by 20 to 25% since we switched over to this new technology. Is the pads are holding up that much longer, they're holding up the heat better, we're getting more quality out of them for longer. They're just it's just a better design these days, and that's proof in the pudding to me.
And to add value to that too, I mean, bringing up Air Force One, you've got over 50 detailers from across the country in North America, Canada, Hawaii, I mean, all over the place that attend this. Those guys don't go through with the preaching of buff and shine that they have to use those pads. They're using all sorts of pads. Every pad you can imagine, and some that you may have even heard of, have been used by all these people. They get put a buff and shine pad in their hand to use, sometimes for the very first time ever. And themselves, they get a change of opinion because they hear about them, but they never actually get to use them. And at that point, they end up leaving that project with a whole new level of respect for that brand. You know, regardless if they go home and use it, but they know that we're a player in the industry, in the arena of quality, we're there and we're one of the main contenders. And that's where, you know, proving that we could do a project like that and still make people see the results that they want to see, even though it's not a manufacturer they're used to, that says a lot.
Well, we go through, I'm going to do a video on how we do, it's kind of a barbaric test system. And I don't even know if you guys have ever seen this, but we attach the pads to various different polishers depending on what we're testing it on. We put 3, 5, and 10 pounds of pressure, downward pressure, and we leave the pads on a known surface, on one surface for 1 hour at a time, for 1 hour sessions. Wow. Without turning the polisher off, without changing the pad, without putting any lube on it. So we put the initial lube on. And here's the deal, is we're seeing these pads before 10 years ago fail within a half an hour, fail in 10 minutes. Now, for 1 hour sessions, pads aren't failing. They're scarred up because they haven't had any product put on them. But even at 3, 5, and 10 pounds of downward pressure, and we'll make a video on it so you guys, it would be a good testimonial for you guys, is we've been doing this for 20 years. These pads don't fail. They're not coming off the machine. They're not delaminating. It's testimony to it, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So, you know, you can tell I'm a big fan. You know, I got crushes. Look at these guys.
We love it.
Look at them.
Yeah, but there's, you know, let's just be honest here. You know, as detailers, as guys in the industry, you know, there's a lot of great pad manufacturers in the arena. All in all, you know, we just want to be part of Arsenal and show our relevancy that we're making quality, so that way you're making a calculated choice, but a choice that makes sure that you get the results you're looking for with the best return on your investment.
Absolutely. Great. And I love manufacturers, you know, P&S, we're the same way at Double Black. There's a lot of good products out there. You know what I'm saying? And ours always going to be number one. No, you're going to have to take and go away. There's, you know, we win a lot of battles, but not, we win the wars, not every battle. You know what I'm saying? There's battles that's just a little different weapon. So I get a lot of respect for companies that come out and say that they admit that there's sometimes just a little better way of going about it. And because that's truth in advertising. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the most aggressive, least aggressive with rotary, gear driven, long throw, and then a standard DA. So let's go ahead and jump into that for a second.
Let me see what slide you got here. So this is our guide to utilizing the Reflection Artist pad line. And if we were to start, say, with the most aggressive, The Euro wool blend in that pad line is, but the Euro wool pad itself, the white one, is going to be the more aggressive. Now, the cool thing about having those two pads is when we talk about hardness and softness of paint systems, and you're looking at your different scratch patterns and or what level of defect you're trying to remove, you know, you always want to make sure you're grabbing the right machine, pad, and product combination to level the paint safely and effectively, because this is preservation. We don't want to take a lot of meat off the bone to say, or a lot of clear coat off, because we want to be able to go back to that for repair value. So for that reason, you want to be able to level the paint safely and effectively. So that's where choosing one of those two pads based on the hardness of the paint system is going to be something that will allow you to know how much easier it will be to come back and do that secondary step for polishing. So for example, if you had a soft paint system and you grab the Euro wool white pad, that's going to be overly aggressive for that paint system, and it's going to make you work twice as hard to remove that scratch pattern out, as to where if you were to grab that Euro wool blend, it's going to cut well, but it's not going to make you work twice as hard. So now you're going to be more effective, more efficient, and also provide better preservation to the client's paint system and the results you're trying to achieve. So these are things that, yes, out the gate, there's no guide to this. This is all about experience. This is about doing it over and over and over again, to where you start to basically, where it sets in. It's like taking notes. And when you take those notes, it just starts to resonate with you over time. And that's what detailing is. As the more and more you do it, the more and more you'll get a grasp on which approach is going to be the best. And of course, overall, test spot, test spot. That's going to be the king of everything for helping you understand what you're trying to achieve.
Well put. Well put.
Yeah.
Any guys, gentlemen, Doctor, Julio, anything to add to that?
Well, with the reflection artist line, I did have, one more thing I wanted to touch on with that. I try to take every phone call that I can. I try to talk to, whether it's a novice or a professional. And it used to be my first question always was, what kind of tool are you using? So I know what kind of pad to put them in. But, with, Justin and Julio and the demo team developing these 5 pads for this, reflection artist line, it's just really great, because now all I have to do is say 5-inch or 6-inch. And then at that point, somebody can choose, which pads of those 5 that are working for them. It doesn't matter on their skill set. It doesn't matter which polish and compounding system that they're using. And it doesn't matter which tool they're using. It just makes things really turnkey and easy. And I like easy. So
great point.
Definitely one of the benefits of this line.
That's a great point. Julio, anything to add to that?
No, they covered everything well.
Hey, Julio, ask me my preference, 5 or 6-inch.
You like 6-inch, but I know you're a 5-inch.
5-inch. I'm a 5-inch guy. I'm a 5-inch.
Actually, a bunch of 5-inch. I was going to say, Julio.
So yeah, we got a lot of 5. Yeah, 5-inch. I'm a 5-inch guy.
You're good.
So Justin, what's your preference, 5 or 6-inch?
5-inch. It's you're more accurate. You're more of a scalpel than a machete. Is the way I look at it. And
what do you like to do when you're buffing?
20-inch.
20 there. Hey, hold on. I think I've got one.
Yeah, show us one.
Yeah, here you go. I think, you know what? There you go. So you can see, size matters, right? Size
Right there.
Yeah, right there. So, Doctor, what about you?
I'd have to say still 6-inch.
Oh yeah.
It matters what I'm spinning on, if I have smaller panels, of course. But it takes me a minute to get past that old school. I just got out of rotaries about 6 months ago, huh, Justin?
There you go.
Well, I gotta say, Clint has been crazy on the internet, because every time you go in a convenience store and you see these big plastic things that divide you and the person behind on the other counter,
yeah.
I'm gonna give him credit, because I think he developed them in most shows, because when he used to spin a rotary, they would put that up before he'd spin the rotary. That way it wasn't like Gallagher.
Yeah. Splash field. That's exactly. Yeah.
Boy.
I saw that. Hey, so talking about your demo team, a lot of great guys. I know every single one of them, good people. I got it. You guys bear with me. Alex is a little sensitive, so I got to give Alex. I do love you. Okay, I love you. I miss you. He was feeling a little hurt, so we'll just get that out of there. So, bro love to you, man. Bro love. So let's go over to the next slide.
that's it.
Well,
that-
yeah, that was the last one.
So let me
We
ask.
touch on the demo team.
So demo team, who's your demo team? Who's on your demo team right now? Where are they from? You guys have a list of who they are? I know Sexy Mark.
Yep.
Monk Elliott, Jacksonville, Florida. We have Kyle Clark, SoCal. Sean Sepulta, North California. And then we have Alex Dublin in Alaska. And then, of course, myself here in Florida as well. And a lot of them were part of already playing with pads and being super involved with Buff and Shine. So they ended up being a great fit. But their background, you know, being part of the IDA, being part of the industry, going to events, you know, they have successful shops. They're always running polishers. That's part of their business motto, is a lot of correction, coating, things of that nature. And that's, you know, when it comes to paint correction, coatings fall in place because a lot of times you're doing some level of polishing prior to the coating, whether it's to clean the paint or to fully correct the paint. But all that in between requires a pad. So that's where, you know, being able to utilize their skill set and their background helped with the value of bringing the team together, so we could actually, you know, make sure that these pads work not just for us, but for the industry. You know, that was the biggest thing, is making sure we could produce a product that we could stand behind, that everybody's happy with, knowing that it came from true detailers and not just some numbers being punched to get some schematics on a pad and saying, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
And look at this, man. We've got just a call out real quick, is we got Luis from Puerto Rico, Bernardo from Panama.
Bernie.
Yeah.
Hey, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie's there.
Bueno.
We got people from all over the country.
Awesome.
It's just absolutely cool. So hey, so people want to reach out to you. How do they follow you on social media?
Well, we're on Facebook. Buff and Shine. Buff and Shine is if you search for that on Facebook. On Instagram, we have a page. It's Buff and Shine. You got to spell A-N-D, not the letter N or the ampersand sign. And we're on Twitter and on YouTube as well.
There you go. And then if they want to reach you guys, what's the best way, if they got questions for you, what's the best way to reach out to you guys?
Any way that you possibly can. Telephone number, text, website,
Facebook,
email.
Messenger.
Cool.
Yeah,
What's
Facebook, Messenger.
okay? Perfect. And then, hey, Chris, do we have any questions coming up? Do we have something popping?
You guys touched on the R&D one earlier. Lee was asking how much R&D is done before pads release and how long does it normally take? I don't remember if we fully addressed that or not.
We did. I went through that because I saw it as I was scrolling through. Here's the thing. Right now is the time to ask. If you guys got questions about pads, there's this whole, you know, mystical thing, because there's so many manufacturers, so many different colors. There's no color coordination. You know, it's all based on the manufacturer. You know, we have pads that are certain foams that we dye to our unique color preference that we want for us to promote in the industry. So, you know, ask away. This is the time, you know, whether it be about pads, technique, machines, we're all well-rounded here. I mean, there's a significant amount of knowledge between, you know, the four of us to be able to answer a question. So this would definitely be the time to do it.
I think I'm picking up some stuff right now. Is from the time. Let's say that you guys. Let's say when Rupes introduced the long throw. Okay. From the time that you started realizing, everybody started realizing, okay, this is something different. How are we going to address this? How long does it take to develop a new pad from idea and concept, planning, executing, and then delivery to the market? On average, what kind of time frame is there from start to finish by the time a new pad comes onto that market?
I think it just matters.
Yeah, on that particular situation, it probably took 6 to 12 months to make the change. Other times we've already had it in play. Like, let's take the blueberry pad. We've had that foam for almost 3 years, but on a different industry, and, you know, testing it, you know, we just move it into a different size and we send it out. We test it internally, and then, you know, you have something. So it varies. It could be months, it could be years. It just, you know, there's too many variables like paint.
Yeah. And that runs us right into somebody didn't put his or her name up there. Is what's your favorite product to use with paint correction? Boy, that's going to depend on
That's a loaded question.
I can tell you right now is that Buff and Shine's #1 go-to product is of course Double Black. I'm just going to mention that right now. No, they host a lot of different products. Even in our own training, I've got our own product line. It's only about 25% of what we actually use, and sometimes it doesn't work. Favorite product's going to be dependent on what you like, and then the paint conditions. You're looking at it in a 2017 GMC truck that's finicky in hell compared to Mercedes-Benz, which is pretty bulletproof. Boy, the product combos, the humidity, the temperature, there's so many factors in there. That's a pretty big question in it. It's a tough one.
And here's the thing. That's what a lot of the Reflection Artist pad line is based around, because you could utilize it with all the machine types. The thing that I found, because I've been testing so many liquid abrasives for so long, and we do it, that's one of the benefits of the demo team, is that we test for a lot of our distributors. So for that reason, we have to play with a lot of different liquid abrasives. So the cool thing about that line is you have 5 pads. You can manipulate the liquid abrasive by changing the pad.
Absolutely.
By right there, that right is gonna make your recipe. So whatever recipe you're working with out of your arsenal, so be it. You'll be able to figure it out from there with the test spot, but always try stuff. I have a cabinet at my shop, and everybody who's attended, come to my shop, which everybody's always welcome to my shop. My shop has open doors. Come by, check it out. I've got a little bit of everything because I love playing with liquid abrasives. It's like seasonings being a chef. You always want a pinch of this and a pinch of that, and then mwah.
Yeah, and we got Italian, so we got it's a lot of pinch of this, a lot of, it's down to your taste. So Nick asked, what's your favorite pad on a soft single step? Customer only wants to go 1 step. What's your go-to pad on finicky portrait paint?
Finicky paint? Most likely the blue. Believe it or not, the blue has been very successful with black GM paint.
Again, it's matching it up with the right product, with the right liquid abrasive. Because we've had a lot of good luck with that blueberry with our deep finish product with finicky paints, and then Sonex products with finicky paint. Those are probably my 2 go-tos to kind of leak some product knowledge out to you. So that was a great question. But again, man, product-wise, and the product-wise is changing. I think, God, it's just such a big answer. There's just so many things. Is that when we're training, we do about 16 test spots during the 5 days, and it's unreal to see some product pad combos turn out really close, and other ones, the things that sometimes I'm so far off of what I think is going to win. Every once in a while, most of the time I hit it pretty close. But it's a tough one. It's a really tough one, and it's gotten tougher because of waterborne paints. Have made it a little tougher. The quality of manufactured paints, they seem to be rushing cars a little more these days. So the quality of the paints the clear coat's kind of iffy in some situations. So there are a lot of variables it can go into. So hey, Alan asked, where can I go get more technical information on pads and polishers in the industry? So I'll tell you, the polishing companies, almost all of them have got Alan a lot of, you can download. I mean, Rupes has got a whole list of PDFs that you can go to their site and download for that. Flex has got some also. I mean, all the different DAs that have come out, pretty much all of them now, you can go to and do a download right from their site. Now, specifically for Buff and Shine, where do they go to get technical support information? Is there anything that they can go and download?
Well, I think, go ahead.
You can go to our website. There's a contact form in there. There are frequently asked question section in there. Our website is getting a complete overhaul. So when it's up and running, we'll send a mass communication, and it'll have a lot more information for detailers about our products, about machines, and etc.
There you go. I'm gonna make a video. I'll make a video specifically for you guys. Talks about some stuff that we do unique in house, with your pads and so forth. My buddy Kern, man, what's up, buddy? We spent some great time with this
I've seen a question pop up about the difference between our Eurotech light blue and dark blue.
Oh yeah, address that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So our Eurotech, I wouldn't necessarily call it light blue, but that blue pad that's in our Eurotech, that's the original blue pad. It is a lighter blue, but it's a very coarse pad. It's similar to like a bug sponge like material, like we had talked about earlier. And with that coarse pad, it has a very heavy cut to it, being a foam pad. On the other hand, when you compare it to the dark blue heavy polishing pad, that does not. I mean, when you have them side by side, you could physically and visually see the difference, but there's definitely a huge difference in performance. One has a much greater dedicated cutting ability, and the other one is more of a heavy polish to polish ability, and you could actually, again, visually see that. Now online, sometimes due to pictures and pixels and things of that nature, it may be hard to decipher. But if you were able to go to a storefront or somewhere or purchase them, you could physically see the difference.
So, hey, Kern, I'll put a video together on cleaning the microfibers, some different options, to do that. I think that'd be a great video for these guys to share. Todd, are you noticing a difference in GM paint the last 2 years? Justin, are you working on GM, back 17s, 18s, man, they were gnarly. Are you still finding that they're kind of gnarly on the truck?
Yeah, right around 15 started that limbo area of paint, with them transitioning. Yeah, I mean, we can't change it with the manufacturer. We just got to adapt.
Here's the thing, Todd, that we found is don't dig too deep. You know what I'm saying? Is everybody with the GM, we found out that it doesn't take as much to correct them. And so go a pad or two lighter than what you think, and a product or so lighter, go as light touch as you can and see if that works. Because boy, I'll tell you, they're hologramic. The biggest issue we had, not necessarily wasn't with, we could get the paint looking great. It was a lot of toweling issues, is we're getting a lot of towel marring, and so forth from it. And so what we found, Todd, I'll give you a little hint, is your final wipe down, use a damp towel. That made a huge difference in toweling. And then also keep your pad, not with product, but prime your pad with something that's a little lubey, such as a spray detailer. You don't want to do anything that's got protectants in it that's going to make that surface slick, because you're going to kind of bounce off it and you might put a little filler into it. But if you can keep something that's got a little bit of, just keep that surface lubed up, we found that that's a great way to do it. And yeah, exactly it. Instead of just a medium cut, we're going back over it with a fine. Yeah, you got it, Tom. Dude, that's your head on. Good seeing you, buddy. Good seeing you. So anything to add to that, you guys?
Not just kind of pivot off what you said about spraying the pad. A lot of times that we found in the shop, especially with the demo team, when priming the pads, you don't need to use a whole lot of product. We'll mist the pad, wipe it in, whether it's fiber-based or foam, and just the moisture itself is what will help recreate that lubricity. And then just getting those 4 dots or 3 dots to help get it going is really, and kissing the paint. Once you accomplish that and you run into your first cycle, everything is just smooth sailing from there on priming.
Justin, you just made a really good point too. We found that so many times that people are just saturating the pad with product. And these days, the product manufacturers got all of them. I won't say all of them, but the key players. You guys know who the key players are. Is they've gotten so good at designing product now, and guys like Buff and Shine have gotten so good at designing pads. Look at that little one. Is that it's just a perfect combo. And the thing is that you don't need to overuse product. Too many people are overusing product, and the problem comes in the fact that we're not even going to talk to you anymore, Justin. We don't even care. That's what it's about. But we find out that it's just if you're moderate with the product and don't go too crazy, keep the pad cool, keep it rotations, going through, keep the pad clean, and you're gonna have a lot better work. So little goes a long way. That's exactly it. So
yeah.
Hey, closing remarks. Julio, you got anything to say? You got to say your last name again, because you know what? Nobody says it like you do.
That's right.
Julio Mondragon signing off. Thank you, everybody.
Damn. Oh, it's like, damn.
Hi, Jersey.
That accent. So thanks, Frank. So Justin, any closing remarks from you?
Listen, just try them out. Try everything. We want to be part of your arsenal. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're not people that put up a guard. Being part of the industry is just that, being part of the industry. You know, reach out to us. Feel free. Questions, you know, message me, message Julio, Clint. And, you know, we're easy to get a hold of. You know, sometimes we get busy just like the rest of it, especially right now, going back into some states where we're opening back up and hitting where the floodgates are opening for business. Still feel free to give us a shout, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with any of this.
That's awesome. Doctor, anything to add on that?
Well, I did want to say Jersey, hi.
Jersey, is she beautiful or what?
Well,
Hey, Clint, one last thing. I'm really disappointed because Julio just sent me a note this whole time. You've been telling me you're a proctologist. You know, I'm really hurt that I found out that you're actually truly a veterinarian. And the thing is, you know, I was due my 50-year-old checkup and you did it. I mean, I know it was a discounted price, but I thought that was a little weird.
Oh, the pleasure was mine.
There you go.
Look, no
He's
hands.
got big hands for a reason.
That's exactly it, Dr. Finger. Hey, so guys, thanks a lot for coming in. These guys are they're a great company. I think that, you know, again, going back, his companies are only as great as the people. They don't get much greater than this because these guys, they're a fun team. So guys, thanks for coming in. Make sure to support these guys.
Thank
if you have
you.
questions.
Thanks for having us.
Talk to them, and they're
Thank
just
you, Renny.
people.
Thanks,
So
Chris.
thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll talk to you next time. Happy detailing all.
Thank you.
See you
Bye,
later.
guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, Chris.
You got it.